All right, testimonial time, guys. So I'm going to do a little bit of a testimony video. I shoot from the hip with these videos. I literally do not plan ahead or anything like that. I just go with it, guys. So a little bit about myself. I came from a decent family. I had a mom and dad when I grew up. That was cool and all. I was raised Catholic and didn't really know God though. I went to church every Sunday. Thank my parents for that, all that. Shout out to them. But I never really got close to God till later on in my life. As a matter of fact, I fell away from God, especially when I was in high school. We'll start back in high school where I started, you know, experimenting with drugs. They say the average addict starts using drugs between the ages of 13 and 17. About most of them you start in that age group. I started at probably about 15 or 16. Started drinking and I started using weed. Why did I start using drugs? Honestly, I don't know. When I really think about it, I always had anxiety for some reason. I always felt like an anxiety to me. So when I use drugs, I've got this calming feeling. And I remember the first time I took a Vicodin, guys. I was 19 years old on my way to go work at Subway. I was going to go make sandwiches for the day. Someone I knew was like, "Here, you want a couple of Vicodins?" I was like, "Sure, man." I remember taking those pills. I was all talkative. My anxiety was gone. I felt like I had found like the cure pill to all my problems. I was talkative. I had more energy. All my anxiety had gone away. And back then, I had a lot of pill connects, guys. I had pill connects for days and I had money. So I went years every single day using those pills before I finally realized one day when I went to my connector and my connect was like, "You do realize when you don't get these pills, you're going to get sick." And I was like, "What do you mean I'm going to get sick?" I really didn't really realize dope sick. I didn't know I was gonna get sick, guys. Like when you get dope sick, when you're coming off of opiates, heroin, fentanyl, something like that, you feel like you want to die. You do. It's your body aches, you're hot, you're cold, your anxiety's shot, you're depressed, your mind's all blurred, your bones ache, your muscles don't feel good, you're throwing up, sometimes you're shitting yourself, you're throwing up. It's horrible, guys. I'm telling you, it's the most horrible experience I've ever experienced. And I was already years into that addiction before I realized that was going to happen. I was just thrown into it. So let's back up a little bit. Before my opiate addiction, I started off with weed. You know what I mean? It was more of a social thing for me. I like to party a lot. I like to go, you know what I mean? After high school or I've ditched class or on the weekends, we would go out and party. We would drink, you know what I mean? We got everyone together. I would always smoke weed all day long. I'd be smoking at work. I'd be smoking at school, before school, all that stuff. And I was always high. I was always either high or drinking. Started experimenting with shrooms a little bit. Let me tell you, oh, shrooms. Let me tell you about those. Now that I stopped shrooms for a good 20 years because I ended up taking a cap like this one time. And my goodness, bro, if you take too many shrooms, you'll go into a trip that you never want to be in. And it was, excuse my language, but it was fucked up. I mean, I was hearing shit, I was seeing shit. It was horrible. Long story short, I didn't take shrooms for a long time after that. So, anyways, I remember I experimented with everything, guys. Crack, methamphetamines. I ended up getting so bad on my opiate addiction later on in life that I started shooting up heroin. How did that start? Well, when you can't find pharmaceutical pills, you can't find Vicodin, Percocet. I couldn't find my Connect no more, so I found out about heroin on the streets. Good old heroin, yeah. So I started shooting that up. That was a horrible idea because that was a whole nother level of addiction that I just, you know what I mean? And you start chasing this dragon. The bad thing about opiate addiction is this, guys. Like, fuck. Whenever it's never good enough. You always just want more and more. That's why people OD. You know what I mean? You're like this. You end up being like this the whole time. I'd be like this all day long. Uh and somehow I felt like that was the life to live. It was horrible, guys. And your tolerance keeps going up, so you keep needing more. Eventually you get to a point where you're doing so much you're just like this all day. It's like ridiculous. That was hard for me. That opiate addiction kicked my ass. Luckily, I got some help for it. You know what I mean? I found out Suboxone, methadone treatments, stuff like that. That stuff I got on Suboxone. If you guys never tried it, hit up your doctors, ask them about it. It helps you with opiate addiction. It will actually take away your cravings. But I'm here to let you know about more about my testimony with God. So I ended up falling into crack. I remember one time when I was coming off of crack one night, I ended up cutting myself. I never did that again, but I did it one time all over myself. And then I had to walk around all day with all these cuts on me for like 6 months, all these scars. It was embarrassing as shit. So I never did that again. I don't know what I was thinking that night. I was going through severe depression. I always felt like something was missing inside of me, guys. Like I'm always seeking drugs, woman, whatever it may be. Like trying to escape for what, I don't know. My life wasn't horrible. I like I said, I grew up with a pretty decent family. I just something inside of me just never felt right. I don't know. I always felt like I was alone, like anxiety, like I was different, like I just wanted to escape. And then later on in life, I started getting into relationships. And then when the relationship wouldn't work out, and I would exit the relationship, and you know what I mean? I start beating myself up more because I want to go numb from that. And then my job starts falling apart, something like that. I just start using drugs. And all of a sudden, I get into this loop where I'm just using drugs all the time. Anytime I didn't feel good, it was an excuse to get high. When I felt good, it was an excuse to get high. Everything was always an excuse to get high. It turned out to where that's all I did. I just started seeking drugs all the time, and they consumed my entire life. My goodness, guys. Then I got introduced to shooting up methamphetamines. Don't ever do that if you've never done that. That is a whole nother trip and a whole nother thing. And the thing about like opiate addiction is, every drug has its good things and its bad things. And what I mean by that is if you're doing a lot of opiates, chances are you might OD and die. But they don't really mess with your mind as much as like meth can. Meth is a whole nother trip. You ever see the guy on the side of the road and he's like this and he's like, yeah, he's probably on meth, bro. Like, seriously, it messes with your mind. Then, here we go, guys. I never knew about witchcraft and about dark magic and sex magic and all this crazy stuff. And then I started using meth. I started getting a little bit into that. Pornography. You can get into satanic porn, all kinds of crazy things. In this video, in another one, I'll go into greater detail about things, but for right now, I just want you guys to get the basic of idea of what I was in. So my life is flying by, guys. You know what I mean? I'm losing years. I'm already in my late 30s. Now I don't just got a drug addiction, but I'm messing around with this dark magic. You know what I mean? Demonic activities. You ever seen the execution of Emily Rose? Yeah. You know what, guys? Demons are real. Is all I'm gonna say. They're real. Don't mess with them. It's a bad idea. Long story short, I got to a point in my life, guys, in my 30s, late 30s, where I couldn't even get out of bed. I was not holding down a job. If I didn't have drugs, I wouldn't be out of bed. I would literally be in bed for 2 weeks. And when I say in bed, I'm just laying there sleeping or trying to sleep or just laying there, literally laying there for 2 weeks. Imagine being that depressed, that broken. When I didn't have drugs, I just felt lost, broken. You know what I mean? Like I was always seeking, I didn't want to be alone. So I would just go hang out with people that didn't have my back. You know what I mean? Putting myself in worse situations, doing worse things, meeting more people, doing more drugs, just falling deeper and deeper in this hole. My life started feeling like a curse, man. Like, I was constantly losing stuff, hurting, stubbing my toe, breaking stuff. It was like I was like one big broken curse. I'm sure the demonic activity and the demons and all that did not help the drug addiction. So now I got two things going on in my life. I'm falling deeper into this demonic activity. And as far as the drug addiction, that has completely consumed my life. Once you're shooting up meth and heroin, you're deep in it. And I've done this for about 20 years. I'm 42 years old today, guys. So I go talk to my mom one day in the backyard. She seems so peaceful. I remember talking to her, and she's of God. She prays the rosary and all this, and she was telling me, go pray the rosary. And I remember, I just remember I felt so chaotic. I felt like just everything was just like, but when I went around my mom, I felt this sense of peace from her. Like, wow. I even looked around her. It even looked like everything around her was just calm. And I saw that and I felt all this chaos inside of me. And I was like, man, you know what? I'm going to try it. So I went inside and I prayed that rosary. And you guys, this is crazy. Within, I don't know, I can't remember if it was instantly or if it was that night, but I started feeling a peace come upon me. And guys, when I say peace, I don't mean like okay, everything's calm, everything's chill type thing. No, I mean like no, everything's still messed up. Everything's still messed up around me. I have no reason to feel this peace. It doesn't make sense. I should still be full of anxiety. I don't have my drugs or I'm coming down, but yet I still feel this peace. And that caught my attention. When I felt that, I was like, what is this? So I start cleaning up. You know what I mean? I stopped using the drugs. And I'm like addicted to this peace now. Something else happens. On top of that peace, I start getting a joy. And when you've been in depression for a long time, guys, when you've been hurting and you're like sleeping, you're in your bed and you can't even get out of bed for weeks at a time. This joy and this peace to me, it was like something I never knew. I was like, what is this? I fell in love with it. I started falling in love with God. I started growing a relationship with God. I mean, I started talking to him like he's my best friend. All of a sudden, my life started to change. This was about 4 years ago. Now, would I say everything was rainbows and unicorns and all freaking great after that? No, it wasn't like that for me. I still struggled with my addiction after that. I would get sober for a little bit and I'd fall back into it. And it was a struggle. I noticed that the demonic activity, every time I would do meth, they talk about rituals and stuff like that. And like, I don't know, it was something like every time I did meth, I would do the same thing. I'd lock myself in the room. I would do a lot of meth. It would feel like the Holy Spirit was getting sucked on me. I'd be deep in pornography or something like that. And it was just this horrible whirlwind of like chaos and misery, and I would have to fight my way out of it. I would pray and I would come out of it, and it was absolutely one of the most interesting times of my life. But I had been so broken before. There were times when I would fall and the demons would come back, and I'd be back in my addiction. My place would be torn up. I don't know. Meth addicts like to take things apart and tear things up. I don't know what the fuck's wrong with us, but that's what they do. And I would lose my job. Sometimes I'd have a job, I'd lost my job, I'd be working and getting everything, and then I'd lose it all. And I'd like, you ever talk about a Job moment? You know what I mean? Because there were times I'm falling God and I have everything, and then it's like everything got taken away from me. The only difference between me and the Job moment was I kind of did it to myself. I fell back into my addiction. You know, Job didn't really do anything wrong. I did with my sins and my addiction, and that's why that happened to me. But it was all learning experiences. And guys, all I want to get to you, for the viewer, whoever's watching this, bro, I don't care how deep you're in it. I don't care how depressed you are or how deep in an addiction or situation you are. There is a way out of it. And you know, when you're in those situations, man, I remember I would hear people tell me to go pray or go to church or God this and that. And I remember thinking, I'm like, no, I'm just so fucked up. That's not going to work for me. You know, it might work for them, but like I just had this deep despair, this deep like feeling of that's not going to work for me. You know what I mean? It's not that simple. I've prayed before. I've tried that. It's not going to work. But you know what? It does work and it can work. So let's fast forward to the future a little bit and then where I am at right now. My goodness. My goodness. Has my journey with God been exactly how I thought it was going to be? No, not at all. Like I said, I've fallen back and stuff like that. Today I am sober. I am in recovery, not just sober. They say in sobriety, all that means is you're just stopped the drugs. In recovery, you're trying to rebuild yourself into the person you want to become. See, every addict or broken person or person that's not with Christ right now has this awesome opportunity. You can go into recovery, or you could go to Jesus Christ and renew your mind, renew your life, get a new spirit, actually be reborn again, guys. It Listen, the person I was on meth, I feel is like complete opposite of who I am now. I don't even feel like the same person, even though deep down I know I am the same person, but I'm not. It's complete opposite of what I am now. I mean, I used to be the most selfish, most I wouldn't care about anyone. It's just now I have love for everybody. I protect my energy. I don't just let anyone into my life, but I do care about people. That's why I make these videos, because I'm trying to, I don't want to just keep all this. If I have a testimony and God has changed my life, I need a way to express it. I need a way to let people know, to give you guys hope. I mean, it doesn't matter if you're a prostitute, you're a drug addict, if you're a gangster who's broken on the streets in a clique and you don't know how to get out of it, whatever it is. Maybe you're in debt. Maybe you're got deep depression. Maybe you've lived a life where you've been abused. Maybe you just have some you got some trauma going on. Maybe you've experienced a car accident or something has happened to you. But maybe you're just living a life and you don't feel right. You don't feel that peace. You don't feel that joy. And you feel like something is missing. I'm here to tell you, God, through Christ, all things are possible. I was a hopeless case, guys. I should not be here talking to you right now. Like I said, you ever seen those possessed movies where people get possessed and shit like that? Man, I don't think it's necessary for me to go into some of the details, but you guys would trip out if I told you some of my details of the things I've been through. It's absolutely incredible. I've literally been curled up on a ball in the floor, broken. Now, today, right now, I have peace, joy. It don't matter what's going on around me. I feel that peace and joy no matter what. I have completely changed. And bro, I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I'm about what you would call, I've only been in recovery for a couple months, guys, or a month, or a little over a month, somewhere around there. I don't know what my date is. So I'm so excited to see what God is going to do with my life. Because if I'm already like this now, I could only imagine a year from now or 6 months from now. So there's hope for every and each and single one of you guys. God bless my brothers and sisters and anyone that's hurting right there. Guys, trust me, God is real. I'm a living testimony to let you know it's possible. You can do all things through Christ who strengthens you, and he loves you very much. God bless.